episode of Good Playing with You, the weekly gaming podcast. I'm Dan Whitehill, and I'm joined by my fellow Good Playing Good buddies, Matt Lord.
How's it going?
And Matt Maulding.
Hey! Now,
we've got an awesome show planned this week. First, we're going to do a deep dive into PalWorld, then the week's gaming headlines, and then answer some listener emails. And then, of course, Matt's back with more trivia. But first, let's get started by checking in with what everyone's been playing this week. Lord?
Sweet. Well, of course, besides PalWorld, I've been having a really good time with Sea of Stars. I find myself booting that up quite a bit. I'm still in my Series S era, so when I get the chance, I just get to quick resume, and boy, I love that game. It's so beautiful. The verticality of the worlds and levels is just like unbelievable. And the music is truly incredible. I think they nailed that. Dan, I know we kind of like went back and forth on that, and I think we agree that that music is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, it's epic. I feel like they took all the games from our childhood, those RPGs, and they just took them to the next level with the production value of today's consoles, and I agree. Incredible.
Totally. And I just think the little levels that they do with like the shortcuts that you could take to navigate, I think is just so clever, and it just looks just great. And then today, just kind of at random, I booted up Resident Evil Code Veronica. So rando, but it was awesome. That game holds up so well, and I'm hoping they give that game the remake it deserves. And that's it for me.
Right on. Maulding?
Well, again, until PalWorld came out, I was really doing it the college try for Final Fantasy VII Remake, and the fighting system grew on me, and I'm now okay with the fighting system. But it is so boring. And I really hate to say that because I loved playing the original. I just don't remember the bloat type of questing that they have you doing. I think they did it so that they could break it into 2 games.
Sure.
So you spend a lot of time doing fetch quests, and every conversation that you have with every quest giver is just incredibly, incredibly boring. And it does 2 of the, I think, cardinal role-playing game sins. One being that when you're following someone or when you're running around the town, it will stop you from running at the speed that you're used to in the rest of the game. So it forces you to walk places constantly, and it drives me out of my mind when I'm walking around at one speed, and then it boots me down to a slower speed, and it just feels like I'm crawling. And then for some reason I can't remember the other card. Oh yeah.
Do you which part are you at?
I found Aerith. I'm going through. I think that there's like the Vegas town, and that's what I just hit was the Vegas town, and it's just dragging. Like it just has me running around this town, and I understand when you're going through a crack that they have to slow you down for those kind of things to load up the other assets. I understand why they do that, but just it's really frustrating, and I think I might. I don't think I can finish it. I don't think I can do it. I would start a conversation with an NPC knowing full well that it's going to last 2.5 minutes, and I would just pick up my phone and look at Twitter while they were talking, because I was like, I want to at least absorb it through osmosis that something is happening, but I don't want to actually pay attention. And it was really
I think you're right. I think they definitely wanted to split it up into 2, but I will say the graphics in that one are pretty stellar.
It's super pretty, and the combat is a lot more fun now that I've gotten better at it. And shit, now I can't remember what the other cardinal sin was. I should have written it down. I was like, these are the 2, and now I can't remember. Maybe it'll come back to me.
Yeah.
But that's
anything else?
No, and then PalWorld, which we're going to talk about.
Of course, PalWorld. So yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I've been playing the usual suspects. So of course, Fortnite, of course, Texas Chainsaw. I've been playing, strangely enough, the Monster Hunter mobile game. I've actually been playing that since it launched because I need something to play on my phone while I'm walking my dogs, and my dogs demand walks 3 times a day. So I'm out there like, I need something on my phone, and Monster Hunter. Pretty good. I feel like I finished it. I hit level 50. I've gone through the story, and so it kind of repeats on itself. Anyway, we should probably have like if there are any good mobile games, I'd love to get recommendations. So we should have like an episode where we talk about them, even though they're
And
not that
Dan,
great.
we all know you're not very
Good
You're not
at
picky.
regular Monster Hunter World.
Oh,
yeah, not picky. That's
you're
the other thing.
not picky with your games.
I mean,
so
that's
I'm
what I
sure the
meant. That's what I meant.
recommendations will come in flying. God, speaking of which, we might want to drop what we got. Suicide Squad coming up as well, so we don't want to sleep on that.
Exactly. We've got the live stream next Thursday. What is it? February 1st at 9 p.m. on our YouTube channel. I will be streaming, and you can watch me be crushed in real life or be vindicated by these two buttholes, because it will end up being potentially a good game. And then we will actually review it on not next week's episode, but the week after. And so much more Suicide Squad content to be coming your way, whether you like it or not. And other than that, though, I've been playing, of course, a lot of PalWorld, which leads into our kind of big topic of the week. So let's go. With that being said, let's go ahead and get to the headlines. All right. Our first headline, of course, is the unexpected and completely wild launch of PalWorld this week. For those of you unfamiliar with the game, in case you've been living under a rock or on a silent retreat with Jared Leto, it's most commonly described as Pokemon with guns, but it has crafting, it has survival, and of course, it comes with a lot of controversy. Is PalWorld the underdog story of a small developer trumping the competition by creating a fresh twist on a popular genre? Or did the small studio commit acts of plagiarism and IP theft to get where it is today? Whatever side of the fence you land on, the undeniable part is that this game has become a phenomenon out of nowhere in the past week. It started by selling 1 million copies in the first few hours and almost crashing servers, and then going on to sell over 8 million copies in only 6 days, and where it stands now. And who knows where it's going to end up. And that's just on Steam. That's not even counting the copies sold on Xbox or the people who are playing on Game Pass. Additionally, the game is putting up some record-breaking Steam numbers. Currently, it sits at an all-time peak of 2 million concurrent players on Steam, and this means that PalWorld has surpassed legendary games like CS2, Dota 2, and Cyberpunk 2077 to become the second most played game concurrently in Steam history. The top game, of course, being PUBG at 3 million. So to make sense of all of the crazy PalWorld headlines this week and all the numbers, I want to take a deep dive and find out what the Mats think. First off, as you guys know, we've been playing the game together. I want to know what you think. Is this a good game? Is it worth people's $30?
Well, I definitely think it's worth $30, but it's also even more nice, love more nice, that Game Pass has it, technically for free, and it's kind of an Xbox exclusive right now. So that's actually a nice win for Xbox, a much needed win. I think for consoles in general, just to have such a hyped game on there and we've been playing on Xbox, and to be honest, and I've played on Steam, but I think it plays fine on Xbox. I haven't seen very many, I haven't experienced any crashes. I think everything runs smooth. We did see some headlines where it was saying it was crashing. However, I think it was totally smooth, where we had no problems, us three in a world, and just kind of sharing resources and fighting bosses. I thought all around, totally a great game. I think worth $30. Like, this could easily be a $60 or $50 game, in my opinion, especially with the quality of this day and age.
Nice. Maulding?
Yeah, I have also been really enjoying it. Unlike you guys, it did, the very first time I played it, crashed on me 3 times. It crashed on me twice, and I was like, all right, if this game crashes one more time, I'm done with it. and it crashed like within 30 seconds. And I'm like, okay, I'm never playing this game again. And
then you sent us angry texts several times.
Yep. Very angry texts, probably some nude photos. And then I was like, then when the news really picked up steam, I decided to just delete the download and re-download it. And then I haven't crashed since then. It might just be me. I don't know if anyone else is having this problem, but the sound is really bad, and it could just be my machine. It sounds really tinny.
I was going to ask,
like
Maulding, what headphones are you using?
I'm not using headphones at all. I'm just using my sound bar. Okay. And everything sounds fine out of my sound bar for everything else, but just something about this game, it sounds like it's in mono. I don't know. Dan suggested I restart my Xbox. Of course, I haven't done that yet. So maybe I'll try to do that and that'll fix something. But until then, I'll just complain about it. I know that everyone is talking about the Pokemon stuff, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But it's also very similar to one of my very favorite games that I've ever played, which is Ark. Survival Evolved, even down to the skill tree, or not skill tree, the unlockables.
The technology
tree, yeah, is almost, I mean, it's very, very similar. And I've always said to my friends, again, friends of the pod, Blake and Brendan, when we play Ark, that if there was a game that's just taming dinosaurs and breeding them to get better dinosaurs, I would be all about that. And that's very close to what this game is. It's got the survival aspects, and then you're doing a lot of taming and breeding and trying to get bigger skills and better skills and new skills for your pals. And I think that is a super fun game loop that I really enjoy. So yeah, I've been really enjoying it.
I agree. I'm in the exact same place. I think, having it on Game Pass, I would have paid the $30 for it and wouldn't have regretted it. I know that it's early access, so it's not a finished game, and we'll talk about the roadmap shortly. But the one thing I do have to say is, I'm missing the story, and it's a little bit mechanical. It's a little bit soulless. Yes, I love catching the dinosaurs. Yes, I love taming them and fighting with them. And I'm having a great time really exploring. Like, the town stuff is fun and stuff, but after it gets a little tedious needing resources and stuff like that. So once I get, and sometimes my animals start getting upset and I don't know why, and then they have like an eating disorder and they go to the eating thing and they eat all the food and then they don't mine like they're supposed to, and sometimes they get really upset with me and they just go to bed. So I'm having problems at my camp right now, which are amusing but also a pisser, because then I can't get the resources I need to grow my camp, because I think I need to swap out my dinosaurs because I've got some serious attitude problems.
I'm constantly swapping those dinos or those pals out. Like, I'm just always trying to get a better combination. So maybe that's it.
Yeah. Well,
maybe they just don't like you, though. That could be.
But the one that had the eating disorder and was kept binging, I gave her medicine, and so she's fine now.
Oh, okay, yeah. That's a good idea. I've seen that medicine there, and
but the game gave her an eating disorder when she was my very first dinosaur, and I didn't have any other Pokemons or anything like that, and I had no way to cure it because you haven't built the medicine yet, so I was screwed right from the beginning. But anyway, so you get to know your Pokemons, and you make you find
pals.
which ones
pals, not Pokemons.
Sorry, pals. And you get to befriend them, and you like them, and you get them stronger, and you fight, and all that sort of stuff. But the one thing that's really missing for me is the story. I miss the narrative, and I think that I understand what the game's doing. The loop is great, but it feels soulless to me. I would love, look, I know those diaries are in the world and stuff, but look, I'm not gonna read.
I haven't even looked at them. I haven't even looked at one of them. I just collect them and move on.
Yeah.
To be honest, just speaking of story, I didn't even know there was a story. There is, like, they're trying to convey something.
I don't know. There's just like diaries you find from other people. So there's not really a story other than you need to conquer everyone with your pals.
Then maybe that is something that, that's a point for Pokemon. Pokemon, you have your rival, you're trying to get.
But Pokemon has a loose story too, though. I mean, I can be honest.
It does.
There's not a lot of world building in that one.
You're right. I mean, but at least like they lay it out right away. You know, I've started the game 5 times because I keep joining different worlds, and I'm like basically a pleb every time until then. We actually got pretty far in your world, which was awesome, and I just was able to use all your resources and just
Yeah, that
mooch
was
off
awesome.
you, and then we were able to climb some levels pretty fast.
Technically, he was mooching off us to get to help
true.
fight the more powerful pals, but
But you guys helped me get the Mamarest like 10 levels too early, so I'm super pumped about that.
there you
Yeah, that was
He's
a
a
huge
level 2
come up.
miner, so I'm pumped.
Huge come up.
Yeah.
Well, I think still, you know, Pokemon, you kind of have your rivalry situation, and that's awesome. And I don't know, I've started the game so many times, I'm like, is there a story? Is like, I know it has the little Breath of the Wild knockoff tablet that kind of plays something right at the beginning. It says like wake up or something, and then it's just like you're out in the world and building a base, and that's kind of it.
Yeah. It's definitely missing the story, and I don't think that's something they plan to patch on. We'll look at the roadmap shortly, but you kind of touched on Breath of the Wild, and we've talked about Pokemon, and that's something that I wanted to talk more about. Is basically, this game has been a huge success, but it's also come with a lot of controversy. Everything from cheating in single player games, that they're trying to roll out patches as fast as they can. They've got tons of glitches. You can I read an article that you can catch the actual bosses that you aren't supposed to catch, and you can have them in your party.
I caught some humans today, and I don't know if you're supposed to be able to catch humans. Yeah,
you can enslave humans. Yes.
yeah.
And then
Well-rounded.
today also PETA released a statement, saying that this game you can chop up and eat your animals and stuff, and so they definitely
Wow.
don't recommend that. And PETA was all offended by the game. But first and foremost is the Pokemon Company, and they eventually did respond to allegations of plagiarism. And what they said was, hold on, I wrote it down here. Nearly a week after PalWorld's early access launch on Xbox and PC, the Pokemon Company has responded to PalWorld and claims that its developer, Pocket Pair, allegedly plagiarized Pokemon. The firm says it intends to, quote, investigate and take appropriate measures to address any acts that infringe on intellectual property rights related to the Pokemon, end quote. Pocket Pair CEO Takuro Mizobi recently said PalWorld, quote, cleared legal reviews, and that the studio has, quote, absolutely no intention of infringing upon the intellectual property of other companies. Could they be in hot water? How bad is this plagiarism accusations? What do you guys think?
So I'll go first. It's been all over my Twitter. Like, my Twitter has just been this. And I mean, of course, it's the algorithm of what things I follow and everything, but it has been a lot of people upset about this. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what the legal definition of the copyright infringement would be. But a lot of people are saying that they are literally taking the models, the base models of these, and just reskinned them for this game. I just don't know if that's the case or not. If it is the case that they are committing copyright infringement, then they should be shut down. But that is not that's not for me to decide. So I would just wait until the
even
legal
if the copyright
system deals with it.
infringement is just the characters, you think the whole game should be shut down?
Oh yeah, I mean, if the characters are infringed upon by Pokemon, they absolutely, like, if that's what the legal definition, if it fits, then yeah, they should absolutely be shut down.
Yeah, do you
Because
think they would
they're using other artists' creative work for their own?
Just
so,
clarify.
yeah.
I'm wondering though if it were to come to that, if right now they're in the background creating a whole new batch of pals. So in case something were to happen where Nintendo's like, it's true, you infringed, they do a huge patch and replace all the pals in the world. Do you think that's
then they would be
possible?
Yeah, I mean, then they would be they would be in the clear. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's the legal argument for it. Then you got to look at the creative argument for it. And I don't know, I saw some examples of what Pokemon looked like, how they took some creative license with some
Dragon
what was
Quest.
it? Dragon Quest. Yeah, they some of those Pokemon look very similar to some Dragon Quest things. But then you've also got to look at, like, you can't copyright the Cheshire Cat. And there's one character in particular that has like a Cheshire Cat grin, and that grin is nearly identical to something a Pokemon had. I mean, it seems very dodgy. And then we have Asmogold got in a bunch of trouble the last couple days. He's a popular streamer for saying, like, whatever, a game can do whatever it wants as long as it's fun, like, I'm gonna play it. And he got a lot of trouble about saying something like that. So I don't know, it's tough.
No, I think plagiarism's definitely wrong. However,
take that stance.
I do think so. But where is the line here? Because I think this game has brought something different. Like, it has added the crafting and all that sort of stuff. If they are guilty of any one-to-one direct plagiarism, I think they stole from their earlier game, Craftopia. Matt, you and Maulding, you and I kind of mentioned this the other day. Is like, if anyone played Craftopia out there, that's the whole crafting system. That's the whole game. Like, they literally stopped making that game. Then they took Craftopia and then they put the Pokemon in it and they built the whole Pokemon right on top of it. It's the same exact game.
You're even calling them Pokemon, right? Like, you're not calling them pals, which is what they are, right? Like, you're even referring to them as Pokemon. So they obviously knew, they had to have known that these were similar, if they plagiarized or not. If they, you know.
I think that if the creature designs are one-to-one, then they could be in some hot water. But if it's like just catching creatures, like Nintendo doesn't, and Game Freak doesn't own that idea of capturing creatures and enslaving them and fighting with them and stuff like that, because humans have been doing that for years and years. And video games, that's a concept that, kind of has been around, the collecting aspect and that sort of stuff. Now, if it's the actual design itself, then that could be a problem. I think either way, what's going to happen here is there will be a lawsuit, period. You don't sell 8 million copies of a video game and rightfully and wrongly get a lawsuit. You just do. Like, when people see money and a success, they file a lawsuit. That's just how it happens, whether they have a case or not. So a lawsuit will come. I think a lawsuit will come. I think you're right. I think they'll end up paying some of the money, and then they will patch out anything that's one-to-one. That's my guess. But Lord, sorry, I cut you off.
Oh, no. I was going to say Nintendo has sued for seemingly less. So I'm assuming there's going to be a huge matter. There's also been a matter that I've seen floating around, like potentially AI created assets that could be causing an issue, like potentially AI. This is how I understand that this was saying, like, the AI assets just were a rip from Pokemon, and that's what they used. And then it obviously was just like.
Was that something they admitted to, or was that just a rumor that was going on?
That was a rumor.
Okay.
That was an old-fashioned Twitter rumor, but that was something else. I mean, if it's that's a whole nother can of worms. If it's AI creating something, and it's basically ripping off a Pokemon design and they're just putting it in the game pretty willy-nilly, then that is like a whole nother can of worms and a whole nother situation that could get super dicey. I mean, especially if you're another developer, I should say.
But if you're putting something out in the marketplace and you're putting a name on it and saying it's yours, you're responsible then for what the AI has created, I would say. And so I'm just saying they're going to get sued. But they
should get sued. They should absolutely get sued. These are way too.
I need to see the characters side by side. I need to see characters side by side. But
sometimes I just see
then yes.
the pals, and it just invokes Pokemon though. Like, I just can't even help it. I'm like, that is a Pokemon. Like, do you guys have that feeling? Because sometimes I see them, I'm just like, that's a Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
100%.
So I don't know. I feel like just that.
They have Pikachu in there for sure.
Yeah, and they have.
Yeah,
I
he's
feel like the cat
right now powering up my camp.
Yeah, there you go. And so I just
Pikachu.
think even that alone is like you're getting those feelings, you're seeing those. Like people are just, yeah, it's suit time.
Yeah.
I agree.
And then
So-
and then let it be decided in court, and then that's the way it should be.
Yeah, I agree. Best of luck to Pocket Pair on that one, but they definitely sounds like they have a lawsuit coming their way.
But just in copyright infringement, though, too, I did want to say I feel like they use Breath of the Wild sound effects a lot.
And the font, when you walk into something, it plays the audio and shows the font. It's totally Breath of the Wild.
That to me is almost even worse. I feel like I hear the audio there. I'm like, that is a Breath of the Wild. That could get them into trouble as well, because music, the folks who make music do not play either. So that could be investigated. What do you think?
Sound alike.
Yeah.
And we mentioned Ark. It's very similar to Ark too. So they might be getting lots of lawsuits.
Yep.
But does that mean we shouldn't play it?
No, I definitely don't think so. I think, it's out there. We should have fun.
I think there's a lot of argument that people are making that we shouldn't even play it.
Well, look, at the end of the day, Pokemon Company's probably going to get money from this, so they're going to be fine. It's almost like, when people steal people's songs when they're sampling and stuff like that, like the original artist sues, they get compensated, they even get royalties, they sometimes get writing credit and stuff like that, and they end up making money, and sure, they act all mad, but that's really just because they want their lawsuit to win a lawsuit and stuff like that, and then we sure as hell don't hear anything afterwards because they're happy, because they're paid, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen.
And just one more side note, I think it's also good that, we're going to play it, and then hopefully Game Freak steps their game up on the next games.
That's a great point.
I think it's competition.
Yeah, I agree. They need a kick in the ass.
Yeah, they do. And I see hilarious side-by-side comparisons of the latest Pokemon compared to PalWorld, and I'm like, those two screenshots are just like, PalWorld is like leagues ahead of what Pokemon has been doing. So I think it's just, hey, like right now, whatever the outcome is, I think it's good, and Game Freak theoretically should step their game up for their following games.
I think you make an excellent point that this is so popular because it's filling a void that people wanted. And it's because the Pokemon games have just been so lackluster.
Over and over.
And that these people like did something new and fresh with it, and that's why everyone's responding to it.
I agree 100%. And then so that's the state of the game now. Looking at the roadmap about where the game is going, I want to read essentially the roadmap that they released on Twitter yesterday, but then I also want us to speculate on it and what we think is going to happen with the future of the game. So on Twitter, they said that currently they are addressing critical issues, and that's like a lot of the crashing, the bugs. Some of the people are having black screens when trying to load, yada, yada, yada. Then their next step is to improve a couple of things, like improvements to base PAL AI and pathing, which, to be honest with you, is a huge problem in mine. Because they keep getting in trees and they get stuck and they don't do their job, and then they get hungry, and then I pull them out of the tree and they get an eating disorder and I have to give them health. It's like a whole thing. And then in the future, they have planned future updates like players versus player PvP, which is interesting because currently when you play in multiplayer, someone comes into your game, they have absolutely nothing, which means they've got to add you going in someone's game with your content. And I'm curious to see how that works. So PvP, in-game boss raids, a PAL arena for a PvP for PALs itself, Steam, Xbox crossplay. It says various Xbox feature improvements. I'm guessing that could be mentioning regarding the servers, because right now the only way to play on Xbox multiplayer is you're playing in someone else's game. You don't have the opportunity like an Arc to actually have a hosted server situation like you do on Steam. So I'm curious to see if that's what they're talking about there. It says improvements to the building system, new islands, new PALs, new bosses, and new technology. So it's pretty open, pretty vague, pretty much what you would expect. where do you guys think it could go from here?
Matt?
I think, I mean, for one thing, I think the technologies could be cool. They're probably going to add like the glue, the energy glue from Tears of the Kingdom. And
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, me too. That'd be awesome.
Keep
I think
ripping
there
off
could
other
be-
games is what you're
Yeah.
saying, basically.
Have it. Why not? Keep it
Stick to what
going.
works, hey.
I think there could be a little more. Well, it takes so long to craft like weapons. I think they need to get like some early game stuff, like maybe some early technologies in there. That's just my take because I've started the game so many freaking times.
Yeah, wait till you get over level 10,
Yeah,
and then you should
seriously.
have this discussion.
Oh my gosh. Oh my, no kidding. But I think this game, I mean, just one other thing, I think they will likely bring it to PS5. I saw some Twitter
Yeah, I would
remarks
think so.
saying they're going to bring it to PS5 as well. I'm not sure. Hopefully, I think it's great that Xbox, gets the glory on this one for at least a little while. Hopefully, it's maybe 6 months. That'd be awesome.
For sure. They needed it after the Baldur's Gate fiasco.
Yeah. And I think that'd be great. Maybe they'll even implement. I would like to see more of a story. I think you nailed that Dan, because right
For
now,
sure.
sometimes, as I've mentioned over and over again, I keep restarting, but for me, I'm starting over low level. I don't see the reason to like keep going a little bit. Like I like to come in and dance around in your world, Dan, and like see your pals, working away, and it's awesome. But I don't like feel the urge to go and single player that myself. So I think
Really?
I think that's kind of it's
So
weird.
you're not as drawn in by the hook of the mechanics of the game.
No, I'm not quite. Not yet. I think that's probably because I just have restarted so many times, but I think it's awesome to go in and just like hang out in your world and like see what's going on there.
Agreed.
I already hung out enough in Dan's world. That was enough for me. I don't need a story. I actually if you remember in Fallout 4, you would get a camp and you would build automated machines to create ammo, and I could hang out and do that kind of stuff for hours and hours and hours, and that's what this is giving me. I don't care about a story. Go out, catch a new pal, bring it back, see what it can do. I love that loop, so I'm all about that. I don't care about story for this game. If I want story, I'm going to go play Baldur's Gate. I'm not going to play this.
Fair.
Okay, at the very least, I want them to patch in NPCs that I can talk to, maybe quests I can do, something like that. It doesn't have to be an epic story, although I would totally love one, even if it's a DLC or something like that they charge extra for, that's like an epic story. But the world feels a little bit empty to me, other than the animals. The animals are great. But I would love to be able to find like people I have to help, or things I have to do, and people I can team up with, or people I can fight with. And right now it's kind of a lonely experience, other than your pals, and so that's pretty much the one glaring omission. But I can understand. I mean, there's a super small team, and they did a phenomenal job with what they had. But I would like to see but I would like to see a little.
Speaking
more
of small team, is it true that the budget was $10,000?
No, I think that didn't they like say the budget initially was $6 million, and then they blew past that. But then there was something about like there was some $10,000 figure for starting or something, and they said that they didn't know. They weren't very educated on how to build a game.
Yes,
they said
that was exactly what I saw. It was like they were complete rookie. They didn't know what to do, and they had $10,000. I mean, still, if that's true, then that's pretty incredible.
They definitely
what they have done.
Yeah, right.
It's not looking good.
Okay, we got to move on here. But before we do, I definitely want to know, if you guys, it's in early access, yes, but if you had to score the game on a score of 10, where would you put it right now, and would you recommend it to other people to play?
I would put it at a 6.5 right now. I'm really loving it. I'm enjoying the gameplay loop. If they fix the sound thing, again, could be my machine. They fix the pathing. Totally agree. Maybe allow me to bring my stuff into another person's game rather than restarting a character would be more
for
fun.
sure.
I think that we have a max of 4 people. Is that true in
Xbox,
one game?
yes.
And the world is absolutely huge, so 4 people in that giant world is a little lonely. Fix some of those things, improve on those things, and yeah, I think I would give this. I think it taps out at 8 for me. But right now, 6.5.
All right, Lord.
Because it's causing such a stir, and I just love it when things just kind of like mix up the pot. I'm gonna give it a 9 because I think there's still. I'm gonna give it a 9 for a $30 Game Pass, and there's not that much wrong with it, to be honest. I actually think it's not as buggy as some of the AAA games we're getting. Like, let's be real. Like, it does.
I think you and PalWorld need to get a room. Jeez.
I might find a pal that and it's just
eat some cake and a pin together.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm standing by that. 9 it is.
Okay, all right.
I got to back up Lord. I'm going to say...
Oh, you're nuts.
I am. I'm going to say 8.5 just because it is missing story and it is a little buggier than I would like. But here's the reason why. I love Ubisoft games, but they're the same damn game every single time, and I'm so sick of it. And here is a company that actually took something and did an original IP with an original idea. Of course, they took like a crafting game and a Pokemon game, and they mixed them together. Yeah. Well, I'll be damned if that peanut butter and chocolate don't taste great together. And so, good on them for coming to the market with something completely original. Mm-hmm. Should it be this huge thing? I'm not quite sure. We'll see where it goes because it is like crazy records right now, but it is a fresh idea, and so I'm proud of them for that. They deserve success.
Yeah, agreed.
Right. All right, moving on. We have a few more headlines to get to before we do hit Maulding's trivia. Next up, Matt Lord, you had an article about Like a Dragon, which recently came out, or is
it I think it dropped. What did that drop? Tuesday, I believe. So I was a little shocked by this because it's one of those stories where you read and you're like, they can't really be doing that, and I guess they are. So Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is locking New Game Plus behind a $15 upgrade. And so how this works is if you need to basically buy the collector's edition or the ultimate edition to get, so the lowest is $15 to get New Game Plus. And to me, that isn't a huge deal to me because I don't do a ton of New Game Pluses, because that means you have to beat the game first, which is like not something I do all that much, to be quite literally honest.
But you restart it all the time.
So I'm restarting the game over and over again. And but either way, I just think there's something wrong. It doesn't even matter. Like, I think you need to have all games all on the same page. You don't want to get extra money. I think you read that headline and you immediately just think greed. And that's not a positive spin for the developer. What do you guys think?
No, I mean, no. I would never play this game because of that thing right there. Like,
there you go.
Absolutely not.
I think anytime you take away New Game Plus is free normally on all games that have it.
Yes.
It's never been behind a paywall. So anytime you take something that's always been free and put it behind a paywall, I think people are going to have a reaction of like, you can go F yourself because you're just being a little bit too greedy and it's too obvious. So I agree. This sucks.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the fans of the genre.
Yeah. I just think that is something that, that you bring up a good point, Dan. This isn't something that has ever been behind a paywall, and I don't want it to be something that becomes the norm, because I could see that happening.
I mean, most games will patch this in like after a few months or after a year. They'll add New Game Plus as just like, here, this is a great new thing. You finished our game, here you can play it again, and it's like a celebratory thing. Not this. This is predatory.
Yeah,
right.
Agreed.
And didn't Cyberpunk just do that? Or they're gonna release a New Game Plus here soon? Something along those lines. Crazy.
Yeah,
But
it
it's an
is.
L either way.
Oh,
Speaking of L's, Maulding, you had a story about Nintendo that's kind of a bummer.
so I'm going to just do this real quick and then call an audible because I think my other story is much more important. But
Okay.
yeah, Nintendo is switching off the online services for the 3DS and the Wii U on April 8th. I mean, that means a lot of games that people would be playing online aren't going to be able to be played anymore. I mean, it sucks, but things become obsolete and they can't have these things going on in perpetuity. So I just wanted to mention that. But the really important story that came out yesterday and today are the layoffs. And I think we'd
Yeah.
be remiss to not at least mention that yesterday, or was the day before, Riot cut over 500 jobs. And now Microsoft today, although my days are getting blurry.
Yeah, it was today.
It was either today or yesterday.
It was.
Announced that they were cutting 1,900 jobs, and this is based off of the Blizzard acquisition. So a lot of the Blizzard employees and a lot of the Xbox employees are getting laid off, and this is last year was really, really bad for layoffs across the entire industry. And we had gamers really celebrating the games that were out last year. It was really just a banner year for games. But on the flip side, so many layoffs, and we are now already 4 weeks into the year approaching the number of layoffs that we had for the entirety of last year. So it's really rough, and my heart goes out to a lot of the people that this is affecting. On the other side, not the other side, there's no sides to it, but I know when an entertainment company such as my employer gets bought out and merged, you get a lot of layoffs. That is what happens when these companies merge. It's the reality of the
You're preaching
capitalist.
to the choir. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah,
capitalist.
Lord and I are,
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're right there. It's the
part of
capitalist
the.
society that we live in. It really, really sucks. I mean, I don't know what to do about it other than move to another country that's not capitalist, but that's not the way to solve it. So again, it's really, really awful for all these layoffs. I feel so bad. I really hope these people bounce back. On a positive note, I know Riot gave really great severance packages to everyone that was laid off. They did a list of what they were, something like they're giving them laptops, they're giving them severance, 6 month severance. There was a lot of really lipstick on a pig sort of situations for those poor people that I feel really bad for. So as people who get laid off, what do you guys think?
Well, yeah, I mean, I am pretty much fresh off a layoff still, so I mean, it wasn't 1,900 people. Being part of a 1,900 person crew getting laid off, I don't know what that might feel like. I'm assuming pretty scary when your entire workforce is pretty much leaving. I can only hope that Microsoft has plans to create something even bigger and better following these layoffs. You can only hope that, and it's not just to save a quick buck. Nintendo, or I just read a headline from who is like the beloved Nintendo CEO,
Bowser?
Reggie Fils-Aimé?
Not Reggie. I think it was the one before that. He was just talking about this whole thing about how, laying off people isn't like just for short-term money. It's all about these are good employees that are still going to be able to contribute.
Oh yeah, I think that was the guy that cut his own salary.
Yes.
I think twice to save layoffs for Nintendo. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
And I just saw he had said like a profound quote that I'll just butcher because I can barely speak. And it was just awesome. I think that was in this kind of timing. It's like those type of things really resonate. But it's too bad. I do hope Microsoft and Riot, do bounce back, create something awesome. Maybe the next PalWorld.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely echo all those sentiments. I know that Mike Ybarra, who was much loved at Blizzard Activision, left as well. So my hope is that these people, are going to be starting rival companies and that are going to be these upstarts that are going to upset some of these bigger games that have gotten a bit stale because they've definitely got the knowledge to do it. And so I just wish the best for them. And yeah, it definitely, being part of the layoffs, it sucks.
Yeah, and also I think Microsoft just hit a $3 trillion evaluation,
well,
which is different. I mean, those are different metrics.
Is it really though? No, let me just say, I think a lot of this is what happens is PalWorld is popular right now. Everybody's jumping on the PalWorld bandwagon. But what happened that got popular at the last year was laying off a lot of people and cost cutting and stuff like that. And it's a trend going with CEOs, and it's something that they are doing to make themselves look good to their investors. This does not have to do a lot of the time, I think, with the actual company itself. It's what they, I know for a fact that like some departments like Matt and myself were eliminated to appease higher ups just on a pure numbers basis. It wasn't about product or work or anything like that. They would say, okay, let's shave off this amount of people, and we want to look good to investors. And when investors see this, unfortunately, they are rewarding these people because they're seeing hundreds of layoffs, and they're like, well, this company is staying lean, and they're being very aggressive. We had a small connection issue there, but we're back, and I just wanted to wrap up what I was saying, that I think where we are right now, it's a really unfortunate time. I think the unfortunate actions are being rewarded by Wall Street, and it is what it is, and it sucks. But I think at some point it does have to stop because these people are going to have to start making products again. And unfortunately for them, they need workers. They need people to do that. So I think this trend stays for a little bit longer because people like fads. But then the CEOs are going to wise up when they don't have anybody to actually create something. So hopefully, again, heart goes out to everyone affected. We're with you, literally. And I think we just got to weather the storm together, and eventually we'll all be in a better place.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Moving on from that. So a little bit of better news to talk about. Fortnite is returning to iPhones, at least in Europe. So as everyone knows, Apple and Epic have been having a battle about payments on the platform. And due to that, Apple has kicked Fortnite off of them. Well, the government in the UK, or in European Union actually, decided that other forms of payment and other stores should be available on that closed platform of Apple, and have ruled that people like Epic and potentially Xbox Game Pass can create their own apps that house their own content and their own payments methods of paying. So today, just maybe a couple hours ago, Epic tweeted, looking forward to seeing you again in Europe, and that they are returning to the Apple iPhone with the game Fortnite. So that's really exciting, and I'm jealous, and I can only hope that U.S. lawmakers follow the same kind of rules so that we can get Fortnite on our phone as well. Do you guys think that this is going to harm Apple at all? Is this a good thing for people, or what is your position on it?
I think it's good. I saw like on Twitter, Epic wasn't afraid to kind of like poke the bear. They were like, looking at you, Apple, like, let's go, let's come back on iOS. And so, hey, I think that's what people want. It looked like that was gaining a lot of traction. So there's obviously some sort of audience that is looking to get Fortnite back on their phone. I think it'd be a positive thing. I don't think Dan, we got you over here gaming on your remote. You're ready to play some Fortnite on your phone, no question. So
I'm not going to game on the phone. I want other people to. See, I'm really mid. I'm not very good at the game. So the more people are on iPhone, the more people I'll probably end up being able to kill. So I'm super pumped that people are going to be playing on iPhone.
The math checks out.
I have no opinion. I don't have an iPhone, so anything that stops large companies from gatekeeping, I am all about.
Absolutely. Nice, agreed. All right, moving on. Lord, you had an interesting story about the train wreck disaster the day before game developers.
Yes. So the day before dev, they claim the game suffered from a hate campaign from bloggers in a new statement on Twitter.
And that's why their game failed.
That's why their game failed. And they even went and said there's a black market for the game and that there's copies of the game being sold for $200. And I'm just kind of baffled that this developer has the balls to come out and say that about the game that was clearly a trap for just customers to go in and buy the game, and it wasn't anything that they promised. Basically, it was a trash game. And then they went out and said, I mean, granted, this is something that I want to say. I think there might be a lot of the time bloggers do, if they catch wind that a game could be bad, they might go on the hate train a little bit. I mean, they will. They'll go on the hate train. And oftentimes I feel like it's deserved. But I don't know.
King Kong.
Yeah, King Kong. That's a great example. Gollum. And so
soon to be Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I mean,
no.
So I mean, I don't think in this case, is the point valid? Is the question. It's
well, I think we all saw the footage. I mean, it was a trash game.
Trash game. So they're just are they just delusional? How do you even come up with a statement like this?
They're trying to save face.
Yeah, and I think that they're trying to be history revisionists and say, they're trying to change the narrative a little bit. And I think I hate the term gaslighting, but they are trying to kind of make you think, oh, maybe it wasn't so bad. Look, people, we all saw the game. It's still on YouTube, even though the servers have been shut down, and it sucked. And I'm that's I saw the documentary about E.T. and they kind of try and convince me oh, E.T. was a victim of his own success. It's not that bad or whatever. And I'm like, no, I played that game when it came out. I was a little peanut, and I can tell you that game sucked. And quit trying to rewrite history. And so I think that's what they're trying to do.
They should all be buried in the desert of Nevada.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. It's they're basically saying don't believe your eyes. I thought that was an interesting take. It's that's crazy that they would come out and say that. So it was it's wild stuff. I don't think there's those developers don't seem like they're backing down anyway. So I'm sure we'll have more to come from them.
Yeah, potentially more games too. So we'll see.
Yikes.
All right, we're running short on time, so we should quickly shift over to the trivia that everyone's been looking forward to.
Hey!
There we go. So I'm going to hand it over to Matt Maulding for his trivia.
All right, so we're going to...
Every time.
I forget about it every time.
I know, and I love it.
I'll get used to it in a second. Okay, so we're going to do this one a little bit differently, and I think this is going to be the way to do it. I'm taking an example from a hero of mine, one Mr. Howard Stern, and this is how he runs his Winfred's money. So this is going to be each of you are going to answer the 10 questions. You are going to have 1 minute and 30 seconds to answer the questions. The other person will be in our soundproof booth, meaning you're taking your headphones out. And I'll give you a signal when it's time to come back. And whoever gets the most questions correctly in the shortest time will win. So it doesn't really matter now who goes first. So Matt's first in my little part. So sweet. Dan, please take your headphones out. All right.
Just wave drastically when you want me back, and I'm going to get kind of back here. I don't want to see his mouth either. So.
Okay, perfect. All right, finally we can talk about Dan without him listening in. All right, so Matt Lord, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Right,
I'm going to start the clock right now. The zombies in The Last of Us are called what?
Clickers?
Correct. Name the parasitic alien species that's a primary antagonist in Halo.
The Flood?
Correct. Sephiroth is the main villain in what RPG?
Final Fantasy?
What the number?
7.
Correct. Don't get caught by this geometric killer with the great arms in Silent Hill.
Pyramid Head.
Correct. But Uber Lilith is the hardest boss fight in what game that released in 2023?
Lilith. Pass.
What's the name of the squid-faced species of bad guys in Baldur's Gate 3?
Oh, pass.
What killer is the most prominently featured in Dead by Daylight's key art?
Oh. It's not Jason.
Nope.
No, I should know, but I'm gonna have to pass.
What prolific voice actor voices Ganon in Tears of the Kingdom?
Dang. Tears of the Kingdom? I'm gonna have to pass.
Overwatch is the name of the group of good guys in that universe. What are the bad guys called?
The Omnics?
Not what I'm looking for. It's the name of the group.
Oh, I should know, but I don't know. What the hell?
That's okay. What is the phrase used to trigger your mind control in BioShock?
Oh, man, these are so good. Telekinesis?
Nope. It's a phrase.
No, I was about to say, would you kindly, but that's not
it.
correct.
That's correct.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sweet.
All right. That was two minutes. We'll give Dan 2 minutes as well to see what he can do.
All right.
So you got 5 questions, 5 out of 10, correct?
All right. That was 50%. A good old F.
All right. Waving at Dan. You don't actually need to take your headphones out because you already answered, so you can just listen in. Do not give any hints to your enemy here.
No, I won't.
Dan,
Not that I would need it.
We gave Matt actually. He went 2 minutes, so I think 2 minutes is a good number. So you were going to have 2 minutes to answer the questions.
Not that I need it, but okay.
Let me know. Are you ready?
Always.
Right. Hang on, I lost my pen. Okay, here we go. The zombies in The Last of Us are called what?
Clickers.
Correct. Name the parasitic alien species that's a primary antagonist in Halo.
The Covenant?
Nope. Sephiroth is the villain in what RPG?
Final Fantasy.
What number?
6.
Incorrect.
7.
Don't get caught. Sure. Don't get caught by this geometric killer with the great arms in Silent Hill.
Pyramid Head?
Correct. Uber Lilith is the hardest boss fight in what game that released in 2023?
Borderlands 3?
Incorrect. What's the name of
there was a Lilith in that game, though.
That's not the correct answer. What's the name of the squid-faced species of bad guys in Baldur's Gate 3?
Oh, man, you know I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3 yet. the squiddies.
Nope. What killer is the most prominently featured in Dead by Daylight's key art?
The Trapper.
That is correct. What prolific voice actor voices Ganon in Tears of the Kingdom? Pass?
Howard the Duck.
No, incorrect. Overwatch is the name of the group of good guys in that universe. What are the bad guys called?
Underwatch.
No. What is the phrase used to trigger your mind control in BioShock?
Would you kindly?
That is correct. All right. So you technically, Dan, win with 1 minute and 55 seconds. You were tied at the number of questions correct, but Dan did it quicker by 5 seconds.
Wow, that was close.
Okay, so what about the answers to the ones we missed? Because there are some tricky ones there.
So, clickers, you guys got right. The Flood is the name of the alien species in Halo. Matt got that correct. You did not. Final Fantasy VII is correct for Sephiroth. You both got that correct. Don't Get Caught by Pyramid Head, correct. Uber Lilith is neither of you got this correct. Uber Lilith is the hardest boss fight in Diablo 4. You should know. Come on, Diablo 4.
I haven't played that one
haven't
yet.
played that one
I
either.
was waiting for it to come out on Game Pass.
It's really your own fault then. What's the name of the squid face species of bad guys in Baldur's Gate 3? They're called Mind Flayers. Mind Flayers.
Okay.
The Trapper is the
favorite kind of
correct
flare.
answer. That's the Dead by Daylight key art. The voice actor who is Ganon in Tears of the Kingdom is Matt Mercer. He's like one of the most famous voice actors. Maybe that was a little too hard. Talon is the name of the bad guys, the group of bad guys in Overwatch.
Talon. My gosh, I don't think I would have ever gotten that one. I
And
like
then-
Underwatch.
Underwatch is a good guess. And then Would You Kindly is the correct answer for the mind control.
And I just pulled that one out.
You just pulled that one out.
Yeah, as I was like, I couldn't remember. I was like, is that it? Well, it's a good game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff, Matt. That's
I should have mentioned at the beginning that this was a trivia about villains. I neglected to mention this. This was the villain trivia.
Well, you did an amazing job. It was definitely very fun.
That was really good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well done, Maulding.
Thank you. I love this. I love this. Give me more. Give me more.
It was so fun. That was a good one.
Would, but it's unfortunately time for us to wrap up the episode.
Yeah.
So please make sure that everyone is subscribed to our socials, and those are Maulding.
Yep, it's Good Play With You on Twitter, Good Playing With You on Instagram. And YouTube channel is Good Playing With You.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. And that's all the time we have today. Don't forget the Suicide Squad live. Hopefully there won't be a
Already
live
going
suicide.
great.
Yeah.
Already going great.
Well, hopefully there won't be a live suicide. It's a Suicide Squad live stream next week, Thursday night, 9 p.m. PST on our YouTube channel, or check it out anytime thereafter. On behalf of the Good Playing crew, Matt Lord, Matt Maulding, myself, Dan Whitehill, have a great weekend, and as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Bye.